Good day, everybody. I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 3 English lesson on similes. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username, as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts, grade 3. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of similes. All right, so our chapter is similes. Our subject is English Language Arts. We're doing grade 3. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of similes it's similes with pictures, and we're going to determine the meaning of similes. So similes with pictures, and we're going to determine the meaning of similes. So that is going to be our lessons for today. All right. So when it comes to similes, right? Similes are figures of speech. And it's figures of speech that basically compares two things that are not actually alike. Right? So similes are figures of speech, and it compares two things that are not actually alike. It is not alike. And when you're using similes, right? Using similes in your writing, it can help you to create an interesting picture for the reader. So once again, similes, it's a figure of speech. Usually, when we say figures of speech, then it means it's not like a direct thing, and it compares two things that are not actually alike. And similes, right, or more like a simile, it compares two things by saying that one is like the other. So one is like the other, right? So remember, we are comparing two things that are not actually alike, but we do say one is like the other. That is similes. And when we use similes within our writing, then it means that we use words like as or like. And we're going to look at a few examples of how we use similes, but often similes use words like or as. It's like saying like or as mm. So it's like you're comparing two things but saying it is like that thing or it's as that thing, right? But it is basically these two things that you're comparing, they are actually not alike. But you are referring something to another thing. You're saying something is like the other thing, or you're saying something is as the other thing. If we look at an example, if we look at this example, right? The cat's fur was as dark as the night. So the cat's fur was as dark as the night, right? Which means that we are actually comparing this cat's fur to how dark the night is, right? But like we said, it's not directly translated. That is why we're saying it's a figure of speech. So which means that we are actually trying to say that the cat's fur is very dark. Because at night, if you try to picture at night, then at night basically means it is very dark, right? So if we say that the cat's fur was as dark as the night, then it means that we actually saying that the cat's fur is very dark. All right. So we're going to be looking at a few more examples of similes. And remember we said similes because even if you like look at the cat's fur being compared to the night and a cat has got nothing to do with one another. That is why we're saying similes or figures of speech, it compares to things that are not alike. The night sky has it's got nothing actually to do with a cat's fur, basically. But to make it more interesting, we are comparing it. That is why we're saying it's a figure of speech. Because now I am comparing these two things by saying one is like the other. It's like putting emphasis on it. If we look at examples of similes, right? Then we can, for example, say, remember we are comparing two things that are not alike, but we use words like or as to compare these two things, right? Because we are saying that the one is like the other, or we say one is as the other. If you, we can even say if somebody is very nice, then we can maybe say Jane. I'm just making my own thing. Jane is as sweet as honey. So Jane is as sweet as honey. Jane is not honey. We can't eat Jane up, but we are comparing Jane to how sweet honey is. Another thing can be, we can say, let's say you have a somebody that's very tall in class. Let's say Ben. We can maybe say Ben is as, cannot Ben. Let's choose something different. Maybe we said the truck is as big as an elephant. We know already a truck in general is big, but we also know that an elephant is big, you know? So now, if we compare these two things that are not actually alike, then we can maybe say that the truck is as big as an elephant or Jane is as sweet as honey. Jack is as brave as a lion, right? Jack has got nothing to do with a lion, but we are saying that these are not two things that are alike. Another one is, we can even say, my sister swims like a fish. If I say my sister swims like a fish, what do you think that means? What do you think that means if I say my sister swims like a fish? So if I say, for example, my sister swims like a fish, just try and picture the fish. A fish, of course, swims very well. Why? Because it's its habitat, right? So if we, for example, say that my sister swims like a fish, then I'm actually trying to say that she swims very well. That is actually what it means. It means that my sister swims very well if I were to compare her to swimming like a fish. All right. So that is a few examples of similes, right? And once again, we said similes are figures of speech and it compares two things that are not actually alike. Like I say, the fish and my sister is two different things. They are not alike, but I am comparing these two things by saying that the one is like the other. My sister swims like the fish. The cat's fur is as dark as the night. Jane is as sweet as honey. Jack is as brave as a lion. Right? We are comparing those two things by saying that the one is like the other. And we either use words like or we use the words as to compare those two things. And keeping in mind that similes are figures of speech, and it compares two things that are not alike. Similes we use similes in writing, and it basically can help to create an interesting picture for our readers. All right. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca, and we're going to go over the lessons of similes with pictures, and we're going to determine the meaning of similes. Yes, well done. David is as fast as a cheetah. We know cheetahs are fast, right? And of course, if David were to challenge a cheetah, the cheetah, of course, will win. But we are just trying to compare that David is really a fast runner. Yes, strong as a gorilla. Well done. Mm-hmm. Yes. As small as a fly. Yes. Well done. Yes, that is very well. So basically, all of those basically similes given are correct, right? We use words like, or we use words as to compare one thing to another thing. So well done. All right, so similes with pictures. So we're going to go over similes with pictures first. All right, if we look at the picture, right? If we look at the picture, all right, so if you look at the picture, right? And then the simile that matches the picture. So the simile that matches the picture is saying Mia's bag was like an elephant on her back. What do you think that means? If we say Leah's bag or Mia's bag was like an elephant on her back, what does that mean? What does it mean when we say Mia's bag is like an elephant on her back? Think of an elephant. Can I carry an elephant? So what does it mean when we say Mia's bag is like an elephant on her back? And if we were to interpret what it means by saying Mia's bag was like an elephant on her back, remember an elephant is big, an elephant is heavy. So we are actually comparing a big elephant to how big Mia's or big and heavy Mia's bag is. So we're actually trying to say that Mia's bag is big and heavy. Mr. Lunch's beard is like a bag of cotton balls. So Mr. Lunch's beard is like a bag of cotton balls. What does that mean? When we say his beard is like a bag of cotton balls, what does that mean? All right. And if we were to interpret what that means, right, just think of a bag of cotton balls. Very furry, very, you know, so it's almost like we are just taking the cotton balls and we put it on his beard to make it seem almost like to bring out the fluffiness in his beard. All right. If we look at the next one says, the puppy was like a hurricane that blew through the living room. What does that mean? When we say the puppy was like a hurricane that blew through the living room, what does it mean? All right. And if we were to look at it says the puppy was like a hurricane that blew through a living room. If you think of a hurricane, right? The hurricane comes as a storm that messes things up, right? So that is basically what the puppy did in the living room. Everything was all over the show. It was a mess. All right. So now we're going to our test. So we're going to our test where we are going to basically show similes with pictures. All right. It says Mr. Lynch's beard is like a bag of cotton balls. It's like a bag of cotton balls. Which picture, if you look at these two pictures, right? The first picture with the white hair or the second picture with the brown hair, which picture matches the meaning of the simile? When we say Mr. Lynch's beard is like a bag of cotton balls, is it the top one with the white beard or the bottom one with the brown beard? Which one matches the simile? The first one or the second one? So you need to match the picture with the simile. And if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, we will go for option one. Because remember, we are saying it is like a bag of cotton balls. Cotton, if we were to put cotton on something, it would be white and fluffy. So Yes, the first one is correct. Well done. Ethan is sick today and his face looks like an underripe banana. Ethan is sick today and his face looks like an underripe banana. If you look at these two pictures, right, the picture on the left and the picture on the right, one of that two pictures is where he looks like an underripe banana. So is it option one, picture one, or picture two, where he looks like an underripe banana? He's that sick that he looks like an underripe banana. And if we were to choose the correct part or the picture that matches the simile that says that Ethan is as sick as an underripe, or he looks like an underripe banana, then yes, we will go to, or we'll basically match it with picture two, because he looks very sick. So well done. Option two is correct. The next one says Mr. Lester looks like a zebra in his new sweater. He looks like a zebra in his new t-shirt. Which t-shirt makes him look like a zebra? The first picture with the polka dots or the second picture with the stripes? That makes him look like a zebra. All right, and if we were to choose the correct picture that matches the simile that says Mr. Lester looks like a zebra in his new t-shirt, then it is option two, because zebra has black and white stripes. If we were to say he looks like a Dalmatian, then we were to choose the first one. After running around all day, Rick slept like a log. So after running around all day, Rick slept like a log. Is that option one, how he slept like a log, or option two? And if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, we will choose option two, because he's sleeping, he's gone. All right, the last one. It says James's hair is like a cactus. James's hair is like a cactus. Look at the two pictures. How is his hair like a cactus? Option one or option two? That looks like a cactus. So which picture shows that his hair looks like a cactus? And if we were to choose the correct option, we'll choose option two. Remember, we see a cactus stands up straight or upright. All right, so now we're going to determine the meanings of similes. We're going to determine the meanings of similes. And once again, we said similes are figures of speech that compares two things that are not actually alike. It is not actually alike. And a simile, right, it compares two things by saying that the one is like the other. And we use words like or we use words as to show the comparison between these two. And an example, right, is my sister runs like a cheetah. Similar to the example that someone made earlier on, my sister runs like a cheetah, right? Which means that my sister running like a cheetah or being compared to running like a cheetah means that my sister runs very fast. All right, so now we're going to our little activity and then we're going to our test. It says, what is the meaning of the simile? So, what is the meaning of the simile? It says the girl throws the ball like a football player. So, the girl throws the ball like a football player. Does it mean that the girl throws far and straight? Or do we say the girl throws the ball gently? What does it mean when we say the girl throws the ball like a football player? Does it mean that she throws straight or she throws the ball gently? All right. And if we say the girl throws the ball like a football player, then we will go with the first option. We will go with the first option that says the girl throws far and straight, meaning that she's got a good arm to throw that ball far and straight. So well done. Yes, the first option is correct. The next one says, what is the meaning of the simile? The boy's shout was like a lion's roar. All right. They say the little boy's shout was like a lion's roar. Think of a lion's roar. Does it mean option one, the little boy's shout was fake? He was like pretending. Or option two, the little boy's shout was very loud. All right. So we say the boy's shout was like a lion's roar. Does it mean that the little boy's shout was fake? Yes. So we can say the little boy's shout was loud. Oh gosh. So the little boy's shout was loud, right? All right. So now we're going to our test where we're going to determine the meaning of the simile. So number two was correct. Well done. And if we were to choose the correct option by saying, on her 5 mile walk, Kimi felt like she was climbing Mount Everest. So on her 5 mile walk, Kimi felt like she was climbing Mount Everest. What does that mean? Does it mean Kimi felt really tall, option one, or option two? Oh, option one is Kimi felt really tired, or option two, Kimi felt really tall. Which one is correct? Option one or option two? She was very tired, or she's very tall. All right, so we can say Kimi felt really tired. Yes, well done. Option one is correct. The next one says the passengers on the broken train were like prisoners in a jail cell. So the passengers on the broken train were like prisoners in a jail cell. We need to choose the correct option. Is it option one, the passengers were stuck on the train, or option two, the passengers did something wrong? They are like prisoners in a jail cell. What does that mean? And option one, yes, is correct. Oopsie. All right. So just give me 1 second. Right? So once again, before we even, continue, we said a simile, it is a figure of speech and it compares two things that are not actually alike. You compare two things that is not alike. And remember, when it comes to similes, right, we use words like or we use words add to compare these two things, right? When it comes to similes, we compare two things by saying that the one thing is like the other thing, or the one thing is as the other thing, because now we're using words like or as to compare these two things, right? Or these two phrases by saying that the one is like the other and keeping in mind that these are actually things that is not alike. These are actually things that are not that is not alike. But we use the word like or as to compare these two things to make it seem as if they are alike. Right? And before we continue or before we end, right, here's just one more example, three more examples. It says, the tip of the pencil scratched me like a nail. What does that mean? Does it mean the pencil tip was sharp or the pencil tip was broken? What does it mean? And if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, if the pencil scratches you like a nail, then it means that the pencil tip was sharp. All right, this is the last one. Kyle's hair grows like a weed. Kyle's hair grows like a weed. What does that mean? If we say Kyle's hair grows like a weed, does it mean that Kyle's hair grows slowly? Or does it mean option two, that Kyle's hair grows rapidly? We need to say what is the meaning of that simile. Kyle's hair grows like a weed. Does his hair grow slowly or his hair grows rapidly? And if we were to choose the correct option, we would say his hair grows rapidly. Because if you remember weeds, we see more like you basically just did the garden and now all of a sudden, yeah, the weeds are again, right? All right, but this is the end of our lesson on similes. Once again, similes are words that we compare, right? It's like when we compare two more things by saying that the one is like the other. We use words like or as to compare these two things. And remember that these things are not actually alike, but we are saying that they are alike. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade threes, for joining the class. I really hope that you have a better understanding of similes. So, till next time, have a good weekend further. Goodbye.